Hey y'all, I have a few more things to prep and pull together for our upcoming homeschool year. I also want to chat with y'all about some things that we are doing differently, some changes I am implementing into the 2025-2026 homeschool year. So grab a drink, grab a snack, let's chat and let's prep. First things first, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you are here. If it's our first time meeting, I'm Kaela, a second generation homeschool mom to 4 girls. In the upcoming year, I will have a 6th grader, a 3rd grader, a preschooler 3-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old. In this space, I love to chat all things homeschool, all things mama life. I love to share curricula and resources with y'all. So if you are into that kind of stuff, make sure you stick around, click that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's chat. Okay, so we are really down to the wire over here. I have 4 days until our first day back to homeschool. And I have quite a few things to get ready. They're small things. I'm going to try to knock out a whole bunch of it today. And I also want to catch y'all up and show you some of the things that I have been working on. Okay, so one of the things that I need to prep is this. This is the All About Spelling packet. They send you the teacher's manual, which thankfully you don't have to do anything with this, right? Yeah, you don't have to do anything with that. But this is the packet with the student activities, flashcards. It comes with some stickers. I need to like rip everything apart, prep it all, put it in a binder. And along with that, I have my now 3rd graders. This is just a little like Dollar Tree bin that I have kept her All About Reading and All About Spelling flashcards in. These cards are from last year, previous levels that we are finished with. So I need to put the new All About Spelling flashcards in here. And then I also have All About Reading Level 4 in my state-of-the-art storage container. I need to take these out and replace these with these. And then another thing I need to get done today is prepping my 6th graders language arts binder. So I will show you guys that. Usually when I am showing myself prepping stuff, I speed up the footage for y'all because this kind of stuff is tedious and time consuming, but it's a part of the job. And at least for me, it's actually kind of fun. It makes me feel like I'm a kid again, doing all of like the busy work. And I know busy work has a bad rep in the homeschool community, but like sometimes busy work is fun. So we have progress chart stickers. We have some laminated syllable tags. I think I already have a set of these, so I might not rip those apart. We have the activity book. This has to be totally destroyed and ripped apart. And then we have the flashcards. This is for All About Spelling Level 2. So what I'm going to do first is take out the flashcards that I am done with and put in the flashcards that I've already ripped apart because they have been used before. So these are All About Reading Level 4 cards. And the way that I separate All About Reading cards from All About Spelling cards is I just use one of the blank cards that almost every level has, and I stick it in between. Nothing state-of-the-art here, nothing ingenious here. The All About Spelling cards are in the back. They have these little tabs. All About Reading cards, maybe at one time I had tabs for them, but I don't anymore. They're already in order because whenever we finish one, we just put it in the back, keeps things nice and tidy. And I'm just going to stick these in the Ziploc baggie. As suspected, I do already have the little syllable cards. So like an open door or open syllable, etc. I had these, they were underneath the flashcards. So don't need these. But let's get started on prepping some of this stuff while we talk about some changes that are happening. So basically you just fold and fold and fold in every direction, and then you rip apart. So last year, I really wanted to focus on getting us more physically active. We tend to be a little bit more sedentary than I would like. My goal was to have us be moving 3 times a week, 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and I put it on our schedule and it worked great. We were using mostly YouTube workout videos because that's what's convenient for us. And I think we'll continue to use YouTube workout videos. We found a couple of channels that we really enjoy that make the types of workouts and routines that we really respond well to. So that's all good. However, I am going to increase my expectation now that we are meeting the 3 days a week and we've done it consistently for a year. You know, give or take when people are sick or not feeling well, we've been really good at it. We've been really consistent at the 3 days a week. So now my new goal is to increase that to 5 days a week. So every school day, I would like us to start our day, or at least part of the start of our day is physical activity. And so that is going to be part of our new schedule for the week. I know that we are probably in the minority in this. I know that other homeschool families are probably thinking like, how are you not doing physical activity every day already? Like, aren't you going outside to play every day? Or aren't you going on a walk every day? Or don't you go to like walk your dog or feed your chickens? Like, don't you have some sort of physical activity built into your day already? Those homeschool families have really great circumstances, or maybe they're more motivated than me. I'm not really sure. What I can say is we don't have pets. We live in an urban area. We also live in a climate that is unbearingly hot for much of the year. We also have several family members that suffer from fairly extreme allergies. And up until very recently, our neighborhood has not been very walkable. The city actually just recently started to put sidewalks into our neighborhood, which is going to be a game changer because now I can actually comfortably walk without getting in mud or people's yards. I can use the stroller for my littles. So that's going to be really nice to have sidewalks. We haven't always had them. We also live right across the street from a public school, and that has some pros and cons. We have like a nice school field park area within walking distance of our house, which is really cool. We don't have access to it just willy-nilly whenever we would like. I have to be cognizant and sort of think and plan out if I want to go for a walk, what time is going to be best, because there are designated times in the morning and the afternoon where the street is completely filled with cars because parents are dropping their kids off or they're picking their kids up. We also have tons and tons of kids who walk from that school, so the sidewalks will be filled as well. So like I said, for a variety of reasons, we are typically indoors. And so it would be all well and fine for me to say, like, I want us to get outside more. And I do want that. But I also have to be realistic about our circumstances. And so working out, getting active, moving our bodies indoors is typically what we need to work with. And like I said, we've been successful at finding options that work well for indoor physical activity, indoor PE, if you will. So the goal this year is to increase those sessions from 3 times a week to 5 times a week. And so we will see how that goes. I think it's going to go well. How I'm keeping that goal attainable for us is short sessions, but consistency is key. So I'm not expecting us to do like these half-hour or hour-long workout sessions. What I'm looking for is 10 minutes or 15 minutes a day. I really want to work on balance and coordination with my girls, and also just feeling really strong. We also love dancing, so we will continue to have dance party workouts. That's one of our favorite go-tos. Something else that we have really struggled to be consistent with, and I'm hoping to change it, modify it this year, is our Spanish curriculum. And just a little background information in case you have missed what I've shared in the past about Spanish lessons. We are heritage language learners, which basically means that our family has Latino or Hispanic heritage. My husband has Mexican American heritage. I also have Mexican American heritage on my father's side. My husband and I have both grown up around the Spanish language. We both have relatives who are fluent in Spanish, but for one reason or another, different circumstances for each of us, we were not really taught Spanish. My husband can speak it and understand it a lot more than I can. And so learning Spanish is something that we have always wanted to do. We've always wanted to learn it alongside our kids, practice it with our kids. We think it's really important for them to be able to communicate with relatives. We also think it's just important for where we live. We do live in a community where there are a lot of Spanish speakers. And as we're out and about in the community, at restaurants, at grocery stores, you do encounter people who assume that we speak Spanish, and they will just rattle off in Spanish, expecting that we understand and that we can communicate with them. And it sure would be nice to be able to. Again, my expectations with Spanish, I'm trying to keep them realistic. I know that we will never be native speakers. We will never have that level of fluency, and that's okay. But I do want us to be able to continue to grow in our Spanish vocabulary, our Spanish skills, and to be able to communicate at least a little bit. All that being said, Spanish has not been something that we've gotten to consistently in our homeschool. It just seems like it gets pushed to the back burner really easily for me. And I think that part of the solution for consistency is going to be touching Spanish daily. Again, we're going for sessions that are not long in duration, but we want that consistency every day. And this is kind of like this epiphany that I came to, and maybe it seems really obvious to other people, but what I was trying to do before was fit in 1 or 2 really in-depth Spanish lessons per week. And so I would put it on the schedule, like we're going to sit down and we're going to do Spanish, and we're going to have like this really in-depth Spanish lesson with our Spanish curriculum, which we are currently using Homeschool Languages Spanish 1, and we really like it. I know I haven't shared much about it, and it's because I haven't been consistent with it. And when I'm not consistent with something, I really feel uncomfortable sharing about it with you guys and doing like a review, because I know I'm not using it the way that I want to be using it, right? Anyway, what would end up happening is that would just be one of the first things to be cut when something came up with life. When we had a doctor's appointment, when we needed to cut a day out of our homeschool. So maybe we were only doing 3 days instead of 4, or 4 days instead of 5. When we slept in too late, or when we had to do extra chores because we let the house become messy. Anytime an excuse came up, basically, Spanish was the thing that got pushed to the side. Like I would prioritize other subject areas over our Spanish learning. So my hope is, if I put it on the schedule every single day, only for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but every single day, we will get to it more consistently. And even on the days where we have to skip it for whatever reason, because it's on the schedule every day, it's only going to be a short window before we're back at it and doing another Spanish lesson. Whereas if you have something on the schedule once a week and you skip it, you have a lot of days between you and your next Spanish lesson. And it's really hard to build momentum and to retain information if you're only touching something once a week. That's probably not true with everything, but with learning a second language, it definitely is true. Daily Spanish. That is the goal. That is the plan. Even if it's only for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I would like us to do a little bit of Spanish every single day. And there's going to be days where we're doing more because we're learning new material. And then there's going to be other days where we're doing less because we're focusing more on review. But the goal is consistency, consistency, consistency. Another new thing that we are doing this year, or I am doing this year, is I'm going to be adding in some formal preschool time with my 3-year-old. Now, this is definitely subject to change at any point. Like, do not hold me to this at all. But as of right now, I am looking at some preschool curricula for my 3-year-old. She is the kiddo that asks to do schoolwork, and she is the kiddo that is asking me to teach her to read. She looks up to her older sisters a lot and wants to do everything that they do. And so she's already felt a little frustrated by her own limitations and lack of knowledge. So as much as I believe in like, just let them play, and I totally do, I also believe that we should listen to our individual preschooler, our individual toddlers, because some of them are going to want more structure and more formal learning and more academics. And that's great. It's totally fine to skip it, but it's also great to lean in when they're asking for that. And then the other day, she was writing, scribbling, and she was asking me how to spell different words. She's like, Mommy, how do you spell this? And how do you spell that? And I was thinking, oh my goodness, my other girls definitely did not ask about how to spell and how to write things at 3. They just were not interested in that at 3. It was not on their radar. But she is. She's a different kid. You know, they're all different. And so I'm having to do things differently and meet her needs and try to meet her where she is. And so for the first time, I am actually looking at formal preschool curricula. And y'all, I have to say, there are some really good options out there right now. Some actually really well done, beautiful preschool programs. And they didn't even exist when my 2 older girls were at a preschool age. Otherwise, maybe I would have considered using them because they are so beautiful and well done, but they did not exist at that time. So now I'm kind of excited, right? Because I have a 3-year-old who's really eager to learn. And I have all of these curricula options that I never got to try with my older 2 girls. So it's kind of fun and exciting to think we're going to be doing something new and something different. A lot of the resources and curricula that we use in our homeschool are things that I've used with both of my girls, like All About Reading and All About Spelling, Dimensions Math. There are just certain things that I've used over and over. And so I've taught the same levels over and over, which is great. I don't mind it at all. But it is always nice to try something new and use something new. So stay tuned. I am going to be sharing more about preschool and doing sort of a comparison video for you guys and showing y'all some of the really beautiful preschool programs I've found. And I'll let you know which, if any, we decide to actually use with my 3-year-old in our homeschool. But I have already put into our schedule regular, consistent, small, short duration increments of time that I can spend with her. More on that in just a second. Okay, we did it. I got all the cards in here and they just barely fit. I think this level of well, I'm not sure. Maybe both levels have more cards than the previous ones. So they're pretty packed in here, but it works. One thing checked off the list. Okay, so now I need to rip apart this book, which is kind of sad because it's such a pretty book, but gotta do it. Thankfully, they do make the pages perforated, but I like to remove the cover so that I can use this in her binder. So we'll put that to the side for now. Sticker progress page. We'll put that in her binder too. And sometimes I mess up and do that. So we talked about exercise daily, Spanish daily, formal structured preschool time with my 3-year-old. Another new thing that we've actually already started is just switching up how some of our chores around the house are assigned. So last homeschool year, I had it to where my oldest daughter had 2 days per week of washing the dishes that were assigned to her. My second daughter had 1 day per week where she had dish duty. And then I washed the dishes the other 4 days. That worked out okay. I will say that both of my girls through that practice became very proficient at washing dishes, which is phenomenal. And I love that. But the schedule of one person having dish duty for an entire day was a little bit stressful. And there were lots of times where one of us would get behind and it would start to affect the next person on the next day. There was also some squabbling because maybe on my oldest daughter's day to wash the dishes, we did like low prep meals that required very few dishes. And then on the day where my second daughter had dish duty, we were like making spaghetti and, you know, things that require lots of pots and pans. And so then one girl would go, but she only had like chicken nuggets and fish sticks and she only had to wash that one baking sheet and I have to wash all of this. So there were lots of little things about that schedule where I was just thinking like, is this really the best option? Can I come up with something better? And I think I did. I think I did come up with a better solution. So what we are currently doing for dishes in our house is we have an assignment for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner dishes. Dinner dishes are always me. My girls swap out doing breakfast and lunch. So one girl is going to be helping to make breakfast on a day, while the other girl is doing breakfast dishes on that day. And then for lunch, they swap. So whoever did breakfast dishes helps to make lunch. Whoever made breakfast does lunch dishes. And they alternate those schedules every weekday. So Monday through Friday, they have that alternating schedule. Typically, my husband is actually the one that cooks dinner, makes dinner. So then after dinner, I can do all the dishes and also give the kitchen a better wipe down and reset for the following day. This has been working really well. And because there's more of a consistent rotation, both within the day, but then also swapping out who has breakfast and who has lunch every other day, there's a lot less complaining because it does feel more evenly distributed. So that has been working out really well so far. I would say far less complaining. And also, we are not getting behind on dishes like we were before and letting them pile up. You can't, because literally for the next meal, it's someone else's turn. So it's motivated everyone to stay on top of the task and to try to clean up immediately after a meal so that for the next meal, your dishes are done. The next person can come in and do their assignment. So now I'm going to turn the camera around and actually show you guys how we are implementing these changes into our new schedule. This is going to be the first homeschool year where we actually have a timetable schedule. We've never done this before. I've never felt the need to do this before. Typically, just having activities listed in the order that we'd like to do them, like a rhythm, a routine, that has been enough for us. I have tried all sorts of different methods for daily and weekly rhythms, routines, schedules. I could make a whole separate video showing y'all all of the different things that I have tried, and all of them have worked well for the particular year or season that we were in. Having the perfect rhythm or routine or schedule is not going to like solve any problems in your homeschool. It's also not necessary, but I just personally prefer to have a visual aid for what our daily and weekly routine or rhythm or schedule is going to look like. I used Canva for this. I, of course, made it rainbow because my daughters and I love everything rainbow. And I also have a few different versions of this that I will show you. If you're interested in this template, just message me or comment down below and I will try to get that to you. It's just a free Canva template. This is kind of my master version of the weekly schedule, and this is an ideal week where we get to everything and nothing falls through the cracks. And will it always be exactly like this? Absolutely not. But this is the goal, this is the ideal, and I love having it laid out for me to see. So we have Monday through Friday. I have us at a 9 a.m. start time, not for school, but 9 a.m. to start our day. So to get up, to get ready, to do a quick little tidy sweep of the house, catch anything that we missed the night before during our tidy time. 9:15 is when I would like breakfast to be going and kitchen open. I'm calling this kitchen open. Basically, what I mean by kitchen open is unloading the dishwasher, putting away any clean dishes from the night before, pots and pans that were left out to dry, that sort of thing. Clearing off the dining table if necessary. If we did what we were supposed to do the night before, it won't be, but it's included in kitchen open just in case it needs to be done. And also refilling people's water bottles. So whoever is making breakfast, that is their main focus. The other kiddo has those kitchen open tasks while sister is helping to make breakfast, and they alternate that every day. So you'll see E has breakfast, then E has kitchen open, then breakfast again, and so on. And M has the opposite of what her sister has. 9:45 is when we will actually come to the table, eat breakfast together. And this is also when we start to ease into our homeschool day. We will be doing calendar time. I just put Cal there for short. We'll also be doing recitations. So this is anything that we are working on memorizing. We'll also be doing our daily text Monday through Friday every day. The daily text is a faith-based resource that we use in our family. And then after that, we have a slightly different activity for each day of the week. So Monday we have manners, which is a flip book, manners book, sort of a manners curriculum. Tuesday, we're going to have a video, little Bible lesson. Wednesday, we have an assigned Bible reading for the week. Thursday, we have our meeting prep. Again, this is a faith-based activity. Friday, we're going to be doing logic or a game together. And I'll show you what we're going to be using for that in an upcoming video where I show some of the things that I picked up for the new school year. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I do have a Spanish lesson for us. I did not put it on Friday just in case we end up playing a game that takes a little bit longer. I wanted to leave that open. However, if we are doing something relatively quick and we can still squeeze in a Spanish lesson on Friday, or even just like a 5-minute review, we will. We're eating and we're doing all of this like morning meeting, morning time. We've called it heart time before. That's what all of this stuff is. So I have about 30 minutes for us to eat and get through all of these things. And most of these things take 5 minutes or less. Spanish will take a little bit longer, but I'm hoping all of that can be done in about 30 minutes. Then at 10:15, I have our workout. At 10:30, I have my 3-year-old Francine, and I'm giving us 15 minutes Monday through Friday to do some preschool activity, some preschool learning. Now, again, this is my master schedule, so this is showing where I need to be and who I need to be helping. At 10:45, I'm going to be helping my third grader with her language arts, except on Friday, I'm going to be helping my sixth grader. Then we get a break. We have math, or if it's Friday, computer science. Then we have lunch. After lunch, one of my girls is going to be on break while the other one does dishes, and I get another 15 minutes carved out for my preschooler. So my goal is 30 minutes a day with her, but in 2 different chunks. So 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes after lunch. After that, at 1:45, we're going to come back together for our group subject. We have world geography 3 days a week. We have science 2 days a week, and then we have art or music 1 day a week. Thursday is going to be the bulk of our science lessons. We're going to try to squeeze in as much as we can. And then on Friday, we will do a science experiment. At 2:45, this is when I would like for us to be wrapping up. I have little reminders here for myself. Start dinner prep, maybe start a load of laundry. On Thursday, we have a faith-based meeting in the evening, so we need to get ready for that. 3:30, quiet time. This is when I'm hoping my 2 littles will nap, or at the very least, rest and chill. I did not pull this timetable out of thin air. I am trying to work with sort of the natural rhythms that I've already observed us doing in our days. So typically, this is when my littles start to tire out, and I'm hoping that that will be consistent. 4:15, I have tidy time and weekly chores. So this is giving my girls about 45 minutes before their dad gets home from work to tidy our space and to also work on weekly chores. Those are things we don't do every single day, but still they need to get done. They have a separate checklist for those. It's things like dusting their room or wiping down the bathroom, doing their own laundry. So they can decide how they want to spread those out during the week. I have just given them an allotted time for them to look at their list, observe their space, and see how they best want to use that time each day. They also know that the expectation is those weekly chores will be done by Friday evening. That's their goal, is to try to get everything done on their weekly chore list by Friday. Then we go into our evening time, and we have a couple of faith-based things sprinkled through the week. For the most part, that's free. So again, this is my master version. I also have a version for each of my kiddos. So I have one for my 6th grader and I have one for my 3rd grader, and this shows them more specifically what school assignments they have. I do not have all their school assignments on my weekly schedule. I just have where I need to be. Their individual schedules will tell them more specifically what they're working on each day. Some of you might have seen in the past I've shared our time block schedule. This is really staying true to that time block schedule that we have used for many years, some version of it. It's just breaking it down even further with a more detailed, specific view. So this orange block is what I have called in previous videos our heart time block. The yellow and green together is our core work time block, language arts, and math. And we go to group time block and some more independent work down here. And then sort of our like quiet time, tidy time, evening time block down here. So each girl has their specific language arts assignments for each day. And so this is my 6th graders lineup. This is my 3rd graders lineup. My 3rd grader is going to be doing math 4 times a week. On Friday, I would like us to do a math game, and then she's also going to be joining in with a computer science unit with her older sister. And then same thing, my 6th grader has math 4 days a week. This special unit on Fridays, right now it's computer science, but that can change throughout the year. It's just going to be whatever little mini unit I want to throw in. So right now at the beginning of the year, I'm hoping that will be computer science. And then also right as we are going into quiet time, this is going to be something new. I'm having my girls do their literature studies or novel studies right as we're going into quiet time. typically I would have grouped these with our language arts time block. Last homeschool year was really the first year where my oldest daughter was doing a lot of independent literature studies, and I would group that work into her language arts block, and she found it incredibly difficult to focus on reading or on listening to her audiobook while we were right in the middle of the loudest, most raucous part of our day. The toddlers had tons of energy. They had just had breakfast. They were playing very loudly, usually. And I'm like, go read your book. And our house is too small to find a truly silent place when the littles are being loud and having lots of fun. So that was very difficult for her. So I'm pretty proud of myself for thinking of this. I think it's actually going to be like genius and probably the best part of our day, because we will wrap up our group work. I can take the littles and say, hey, let's go watch a cartoon, or let's watch a movie, or let's cuddle up and read a book, get them sort of chilled and relaxed. They're going to probably fall asleep. And then that gives my 6th grader and my 3rd grader a much more quiet environment for them to do their independent reading and any assignments that might be related to whatever they are reading at that time. My 6th grader is going to have a lot of formal assignments with her novel studies. She's doing novel studies with Hearth and Story. My 3rd grader, it's going to be a little bit more sporadic. I do have some formal novel studies planned for her for the year, but there also might be days or weeks where she's just using this time to read quietly and doesn't necessarily have a school assignment related to that reading. But either way, we have that on the schedule and hopefully a relatively quiet house for it. Okay, so those are for my 3rd grader and my 6th grader. Now I'm going to show you the other genius thing that I thought of this year. This is the 4-day version of our schedule. I wanted to be prepared for the weeks where I know we are not going to get to all of this. And there are plenty of weeks like that. There are weeks where my husband is home on a Monday or a Friday. He has quite a few Mondays and Fridays off sprinkled throughout the year because he works for the school district and they take off for any little holiday. There's also weeks where we have doctor's appointments, or we want to go spend time with grandma, or whatever the case may be. There's going to be weeks where a day just drops off the schedule. So rather than trying to tweak things and move things around on the fly in my planner and see what are we going to skip, what are we going to drop, what are we going to focus on, I wanted to be prepared in advance. And so I made us our 4-day schedule. I did not put the names of the days at the top like I did here, because who knows? We might be starting on a Tuesday. We might be starting on a Monday. I don't know. I just put 1, 2, 3, 4. The blocks are essentially the same. I just omitted a few things. So I omitted art. I omitted computer science. I just pared down and streamlined to get this down to our main focuses, our main priorities for our homeschool. And I think this is going to really come in handy and be very helpful throughout the year. So these 2 will be mine to hold on to, and then each of my girls will get their own. And I'm going to laminate them all and just have them ready to go for the new school year. All right, let's knock out the rest of this to-do list. I have my 6th grader's Trapper Keeper here. She already has all of her dividers for Hearth and Story set up. And I have my beautiful Hearth and Story prints that are already hole punched thanks to Watson Family Press. Always have a discount code for you guys in the description box. Love Watson Family Press for saving me some time and doing all my bulk printing jobs for our homeschool. So I'm going to get this organized in her binder. Let's go. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. Thanks for prepping with me and chatting with me. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below if you are trying anything new or changing up your homeschool schedule at all in the upcoming year. I'll see y'all in the next one. Happy homeschooling.